No,
We are live.
instead of change the law.
Well, that's what we
Part
wanted
of
to share
it
it.
changed the
Right.
numbers. But,
Yeah.
but we got enough to,
Yeah, certainly give you something to go by.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Okay, looks like you're good there. So we'll open up the Troy Planning meeting, 7:03, Wednesday, December 4th. First item on the agenda is 2025 zoning amendments. Public notice, Town of Troy public notice. Notice is hereby given in accordance with RSA 675:7 that the planning board will hold a public hearing on proposed amendments to the zoning ordinance on Wednesday, December 4th, 2024, and its regular meeting begin at 7 p.m. at the Troy Town Hall as follows. Amendment 1, amend Article 11? 21, by deleting the following redundant definitions that are included in definition number 49 and renumbering Article 21 accordingly. Number 4, accessory solar energy system. Number 16, community solar energy system. Number 17, commercial scale solar energy system. Amendment number 2, amend the Town of Troy floodplain development ordinance by updating several definitions and clarifying the permitting process in order to be compliant with federal requirements. A full copy of the proposed amendment is available for review at the Troy Town Hall during regular business hours. For Kyle Smith, Chair, Troy Planning Board. All right. And we all have a copy of. Are these just not numbered?
I believe they're in order, they're just not numbered.
They're just not numbered, correct? Okay. So that'd be amendment number 1, technically.
Double-sided.
Which one are we doing?
Before we get into this, do you want to appoint the alternates?
Yeah, we can.
Start.
Well, here's I printed out our rules of procedure, just so we're clear on that. If you're gonna fill the vacant seat with one of them for each meeting, then you might as well just appoint one. They're, as alternates, they're here, they can be used in case a member is missing to make a quorum, but if we're just gonna appoint them for every meeting as the empty seat, then I think that's the reason why we have them as alternates, in case missing one member, if someone wasn't here, we could still have a quorum. You know, if 2 people are missing, we don't have a quorum.
I also have a concern that might help with that. I've done a lot of research in the last, since the last meeting, and it looks to me, and I'm not sure, that if you're an abutter, I'm obviously an abutter to the trailer park, that I won't be able to vote on that, and that I'd have to recuse myself. So if that's the case, and obviously that's gonna keep coming up, I'm not here to, I'm a pretty transparent person, and it might be better if Kim was appointed the full member, and then obviously if I was to, I would participate fully as an alternate, and, but not vote on
We're
that.
discussing the trailer park tonight, anyways, or anything like that.
I know, but it will come up, so it's just I don't think that's fair. I just wanna be fair. And so, if you're gonna appoint one of us, it might be a better decision there, because apparently abutters can't vote
That's
on those
not,
matters.
that's not
But
correct.
they can
That's
vote?
not-
Okay,
yes.
well then I rescind that, obviously. I wanted to be sure it was out there and open first.
Where is it?
So, just to be clear, yeah, Kyle would have to appoint one of you guys before the meeting to have the right to vote, and then you'd have to specify which seat they were replacing at the time. So my question is, according to our rules of procedure, it only specifies if a sitting member is not present, they can only be appointed to that. It doesn't say anything about open seats, and again, if we're just gonna appoint them for each meeting that there's an open seat, then they might as well be appointed.
think I just need to just being as alternates until we kind of get a flow and stuff, that way they're not put in the spot to vote until they're comfortable and understand what they're doing.
We're in the corner.
I mean, we don't have a quorum issue, so I
Right,
don't feel too rushed on that.
right.
I think we're more worried about getting experience and make sure we have volunteers.
Henry, is Carol on?
Yes. She's the only attendee on Zoom.
Are we missing a page for amendment one?
No, I think the rest of Amendment 1 is gonna be reviewed later.
Okay, so
That's-
we're literally just about the definitions.
Yeah, the only part is.
Okay, so we're not doing the other stuff we discussed in amendment one.
Right, not in this public
Well,
hearing.
these are somewhat renumbered, you know, we had 1, 2, 3, 4 last week.
Yeah.
But these are just 1 and 2 for the public notice, which aren't related to 1, 2, 3, 4 from
Yeah.
last week. Different numbering.
Okay, just wanna make sure I was on the. So. Okay. Yeah, cause that would've been amendment 2 from last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so we have it as amendment 1, delete and renumber definitions in Article 21. Number 4, accessory solar energy system, any ground or roof mounted system intended primarily for residential and non-residential on-site power generation. It does not cover more than 1,000 square feet of ground. These systems are not to be used for the sale of electricity to the users. However, this is not intended to prohibit the return of excess power generated from time to time to the utility company. Number 16, community solar energy system. A system owned by either the town or homeowners association that generates between 15 kilowatts a month and 1 megawatt of energy. I'm not talking about. Number 17, commercial scale solar energy system. A system that occupies more than 1,000 square feet in area. Probably should in the future include the original copy so we can show what changed. for
Yeah.
those that are-
It's kind of explained in the bold, gray shaded thing. Their only reason they're being removed is because they also appear in another
Yeah.
definition. There's just we're not changing the definitions for these
These,
things.
these three are
Just
being removed because
removing
they're redundant.
duplication. Yeah.
Any public comment on this? On this one?
So you're just removing definitions that exist elsewhere in the.
Yes,
in the
yeah.
ordinance, okay.
Yeah, this is kind of more of a removing redundancy, housekeeping. Too many different spots and it gets too good for everyone. Anything from the board? Anything online or from Zoom? Anything Carol wanted to add on this, or I think we're all set
Do you
there?
see comments?
If we wanna see what these are, just so we can get caught up, is this online or I need to look? Oh, so,
Yeah, the zoning
so I can go,
ordinance is
so I wanna
online.
look at 49, this is the heading and this is what's changing under it?
These same definitions appeared under number 49,
And
but
that's
they
what-
already, yeah, they
Okay.
existed in 2 places. The definition section is like this very long list, 1 through 50, 60, I don't know. That's probably why we ended up with this.
Yeah.
And
But they also
it's in the
existed,
zoning, it's a chapter of the zoning ordinance.
Oh, I see, and you're saying these are already duplicated in number 49.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
the solar ordinance itself has definitions, and then we added definitions in the back. so to
Gotcha.
speak.
I'm not seeing any comments.
That's any comments? Is there a motion? We'll technically close public hearing first, right? If there's no comment?
Yeah, we'd probably close it after covering the second amendment though.
Yeah, do both.
Oh.
So second amendment is amend the town of Troy floodplain development ordinance by updating several definitions and clarifying the permitting process in order to be compliant with federal requirements of Title 44, Part 9 of the Code of Federal Regulations. Did you want to give a quick overview of this, Carol? Can you kind of...
Sure. This is a fairly common thing that happens every now and again. The NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program, will make some revisions to their ordinances. This will apply to all ordinances across the country. And this often happens when they update flood maps, so they may have new terminology, you know, a zone A to a zone AO or something like that. So that's really all this is doing. It's not changing any of the substance of the ordinance or any of the requirements. Those remain the same, which is if you're going to build in a flood hazard area, your lowest enclosed floor has to be 1 foot above the base flood elevation. So those things all stay the same. They've just changed some of the terms that they use to define certain things.
It looks like it removes number 11, number 16, and number 24.
Yeah, because they've taken away that particular reference to flood insurance study because it's up above in number 9. That used to say flood elevation insurance study or flood elevation study, so now that's the new definition of flood insurance study.
Mm-hmm. And the bold is them adding new stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Do you have a copy, Pastor, if people want it?
Yeah, there's
Would anyone want to see this?
right in this packet.
Any of the public have comments on amendment number 2 for the federal requirements for floodplain management?
So we're just changing things because the federal government told us we have to change it.
Yes.
We're not making any
Exactly.
new rules, okay.
It's verbiage to stay in compliance / understanding.
And Carol, am I right that kind of the main, or one of the main reasons for this is so residents can get discounted flood insurance?
Perhaps the bank could pull their mortgage, so it is really important to stay consistent with any changes that they make.
Well, there's no pressure there.
And then this is used when someone, like if I wanna build something and the city has to inspect it, and so if I wanted to put something and I lived in a floodplain, someone would come, I would apply for it, and then you would use these ordinances to determine whether I was in compliance or not?
Yeah, the building inspector will always have to refer to this. If there's
Okay.
any question that a structure on a property, they don't care about the land because they don't insure the land.
Right.
But if structure, any part of a structure is inside a floodplain that's designated on the maps that they provide, the official maps, then the construction has to follow these regulations.
Got it.
No comments on that other right now. You're not seeing anything, right?
Is it okay that I'm asking questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Questions are always preferred.
Okay.
Anything from anyone else?
Did we close the public hearing?
No, I hadn't
Oh.
yet. I just kind of let Carol go through it first, in case it prompted questions from the public. Nothing else on Zoom?
No.
Nothing from the public here? We close the public hearing portion of it at 7:17. All right. So next-
I'll make a motion
Yeah.
to approve these 2 amendments as presented for the March, voting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Passes. Perfect. Well, that took a year to get through. All right, so 2025 zone amendments for the public hearing are all set. New business, we have, Courtney Davis, you had a question, home occupation question. I did ask Carol her thoughts on this. Carol, you remember the email for home occupation?
Right, yeah, we did discuss this over email, and my understanding is that the intended use would be retail, a clothing store, and the definition for home occupation specifically calls out retail as one of those uses that is not considered a home occupation. And there are several other uses in the definition that go along that in that same way. And that's really because of anticipated traffic that would be expected from a retail use. So that basically, elevates the use beyond what would be considered a customary home occupation that's supposed to be pretty low impact, and not really be noticeable in the neighborhood.
Did you have any other questions from the board, or?
Well, I mean, I wanna,
I guess my question is, the first sentence of the definition states, or sale of goods. An accessory use to the portion of a dwelling unit involving the manufacturing of, provision, or sales of goods and or services.
So what sale of goods is that referring to? Because I do kind of see the confusion, or I think I do.
It's,
Well, those could be things, Carl, for example, someone's making, doing woodwork or something like that at home, and, maybe they sell things online, or they just have occasional sales, or it's by appointment, I think antique shops is something that we see quite a bit of around here, where it's not a lot of traffic. I mean, some ordinances actually get detailed enough to specify how much traffic would be okay, and beyond that, it wouldn't be okay. We haven't done that, but
So where,
this always assumes that retail use would by its nature generate more traffic than would be considered secondary and incidental to a residential use.
well, what is the classification between retail and an antique shop then?
right, where's the definition of sales of goods in the ordinance then?
are we saying
Well, no, basically, this is the way I interpreted what she just said, is because she wants to sell clothes, that's not okay, but if I wanted to sell antiques, that is okay. If I want to sell birdhouses, that's okay, but if she wants to sell clothes, it's not okay.
who said
Well,
that?
it-
Well, no, that's right, she just said the antique
Yeah.
shop, you know what I mean? So, and that's why I'm like, that doesn't,
Guess
goods
the
are
question-
goods.
Guess the question is what,
Is there a specific antique shop in Troy that
Well,
is
we,
a home occupation?
there was one right on Granite Street for many years. Well, I
It
don't know,
wasn't an- no,
it wasn't an antique shop, it was a, what was it, Silver and Stitches, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that was nicky-nacky things, so, I mean, I don't know. I guess that's where my confusion with it is what's, makes it-
Where's the definition of sales of goods then?
I mean, the ordinance says 10 cars. The ordinance does bring up a factor of 10 plus cars.
We have a retail trade definition. Establishments engaged in selling good or merchandise to the general public for personal or household use and rendering services incidental to the sale of such goods. It's pretty broad.
Where is that?
That's definition 46.
And it kinda contradicts half of the
Right.
home occupation.
Yeah, so that's kind of the question I had too, is, you know,
Well, that's where we were at with it.
But what is your store gonna sell?
Close.
Selling
Oh, it
clothes.
is, I thought you were using that as an example,
No,
sorry.
no,
No, we're just moving our store from the common to the house is the intent.
is the thought.
Is your store the picket fence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Where's it gonna be located?
In the
Russell
Russell
Ave.
Ave.
We're like 900 yards out of
No.
the village district. So yards or feet?
Feet.
Feet. Yeah. So that's why we figured we'd look into this and get some clarification before we made any decisions.
Under home occupations, you may have mentioned this already, I may not have been listening, but it has the 10 vehicles per day?
Mm-hmm.
Is that you expecting?
Less than that.
Less
It
than
would be
that?
less than that. I mean, that's kind of like why it's easy to make this decision to take it off the common and pay rent and just put it in the garage and, you know,
Not big enough.
not pay rent.
Sure.
You know what I mean? If we were pushing,
I have like an average of 4.7 customers.
How does the planning board address gray areas and inconsistencies between different parts of zoning talking about the same event? How does the planning board address that?
I guess that's what we're trying to figure out now is, it starts with discussion.
Yeah, what's the prevailing, the one that benefits the person coming in requesting it? Is that the prevailing thing? What's the standard, right? Or is it the more strict interpretation of it that the planning board decides, or is it the decision of the planning board? I guess that's just a general question in nature.
I mean, how I look at it is, I think I would first try to clarify, is it actually contradiction or not, and then decide, is what they're proposing maybe still in the spirit of where they are, then maybe we would look into it more. I'm stuck on it, maybe I'm just not understanding it. Provision of sale of goods and or services is allowed. Where does sale of goods become retail? That is not allowed. Like, what's the definition of goods? Because clothing could be a form of goods, correct?
I think so.
I mean, goods is as general as you can get.
Yeah, but like retail is like clothing stores and stuff, and then goods is like a grocery store, right?
Enforcement.
It would become an enforcement
Yeah.
issue if you were if you did something that was in violation, it would just subsequently become an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
I think what they're trying to do is make sure they're not gonna be in violation.
Sure.
but and absolutely is where we're at with it.
So
I
maybe
mean, like, this is
maybe
like,
the select board, because they're the enforcement arm, maybe they're the ones to make the determination
Yeah, because maybe they,
with a little backup from the planning board.
yeah,
well,
I
I guess
mean,
that's where we're at with it.
Yeah.
And like where,
What is
I think
that's part of the ordinances?
Well, Burt's is in the village, so
Yes.
we Burt's is still in the village district.
So it's
He
allowed.
he wasn't selling clothes, was he?
Common
Correct.
crafts, I think he was
Common
selling
crafts.
craft supplies too.
It doesn't matter how
But
close
he's
the
still in
houses
the,
are.
he doesn't have to comply with any of this because he's in the village district.
Yeah, village allows.
Right.
That's the issue. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was another one in town that was doing
Yeah,
this.
there's it's
Right.
sort of
I
a.
can't.
All things.
Anything.
Like an accommodation.
there's probably, I mean,
What
Instances
what about
where
the
business is kind
Freedom's
of
business?
small.
The village district.
That's still the village?
Yeah.
Anything on 12
It
is
says
is
they're allowed, yeah.
the business.
Well, if you look at the map, it's, yeah,
The village district ends.
No, business district, I misspoke, it's the business
Oh, the
district.
highway business.
Anything highway business is on 12, even the old Marlboro Road,
They
Well,
have no
yeah,
appeals.
because
I have a little
That's
tiny
right.
weird map that I can look at, but.
Isn't there a computer storage somewhere that someone ran out of their house?
yeah, which I mean, I guess the question is, do we define retail as maybe the size of it?
No.
When I
Well,
think
it's already,
retail,
a home,
I
a
think
home occupation is
a
already,
corporation or a very large store like Dollar General, that to me is retail.
Lisa, what's your
A home occupation already has a limit of, I think, 500 square feet. Is that what it was? So if you, yeah. So, I mean, could I sell used children clothing in 2,000 square feet? Absolutely. Could I do it in 500 square feet? Absolutely. So, you know, that's why we want the clarification of.
And does that mean if I wanted to open if approving this, does that then mean other people can open retail stores?
Well, anybody can.
What?
Anybody already can. It's permitted in all districts.
So then why?
The
It's because the two definitions
yeah, the
aren't very clear,
definitions
so
are
it's
clashing.
They contradict each other,
So
Saying
I
that you
guess,
sell goods, but I can't have a
so
retail
home
store.
occupation definition number 30. An accessory used to portion of the dwelling unit involving manufacture or provision of sale of goods and or services is allowed. But if you go to retail trade, which the ordinance itself says where's the signal retail?
It's
It's not in the ordinance, it's in the definition.
Residential.
So retail trade, establishments engaged in selling goods or merchandise to the general public for personal and household use and rendering services incidental to the sale of goods. It doesn't say, where does it say not allowed?
It's it's under the definition of home occupation, I think.
Right.
Sorry, farther
So now it's
down.
gonna come down to what's.
Yeah, it shows several uses, but like, that's why I asked
Oh,
about J.
the following activities shall not be considered home occupations. Motor vehicle and small engine repair shops, auto body shops, veterinary establishments, restaurants, other eating establishments, retail sale establishments.
No.
I mean, I think scale had to be a consideration for this.
Well, that's what
You
I'm
know,
thinking.
they're thinking retail, they're thinking like,
Dollar General.
Market basket.
yeah, where was the sport shop, you know, on Route 12?
Oh, flowers.
Where Bowers, when it was like outdoors store, like,
Right.
I think probably the board was thinking of larger operations, but
So this is more of a zoning thing though then, isn't it?
it's
It's a
definitely a zoning
definition
thing.
thing really in here.
Yeah.
Well, you're probably right, Henry, just thinking that retail might lend itself to a bigger scale of cars, but if the zoning allows 10 vehicles a day, that kind of puts the parameters on it. If you're over that,
Right.
And limits you to
And
500
it limits
square
you
feet.
to 500 square feet in the residential district. I think it's different. I think it's 15 in the mountain and in the rural districts.
Rural mountain is allowed 1,500
Yeah.
square feet, yes.
Lisa, what's your timing on this?
Immediately.
Timing, yeah.
We're moving now, we're actively
Oh, okay.
moving out of that building.
Yeah, I didn't know if we had, in this go round, had time to clean up the ordinance, but no.
Well, I don't think for
Yeah,
that we have, but I think
it's,
it's
well, I
just,
mean, it's, yeah, we're actively moving.
I guess my question is, does the board have an issue with them having a clothing store as a home occupation?
And then I just want to make sure that we hold that position after this in case it's questioned.
Well, it is restricted to 10 vehicles a day, and it would be hard to have much of a retail establishment. It would be hard to have a big retail establishment and maintain that 10 vehicles a day, so.
But how do you enforce that? You just rely on neighbors calling if there's 30 cars a day there, or like
That's kind of how it goes.
that's how all the enforcement in town happens.
Facebook.
Facebook, yeah.
And I
So,
mean,
yeah.
in all reality, it allows pretty heavy equipment to come through too, with that, which you know.
Right.
seems
Well, now
excessive
with what
for-
Henry was saying, I mean, I was thinking back onto the GVW thing that they put in there and then, you know, with only one vehicle being able to be parked there. That kind of all makes sense, I feel. You know, only one delivery, one truck of over certain GVW parked in the property.
And it gives you hours of operation that is
Right.
relevant.
Yeah, you can only be operating from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, following
Can't
the
do
ordinance
anything
is self-limiting
outside.
all by itself.
Yeah.
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 Preventing you from becoming what I'm assuming the definition is considering a retail operation.
Price should be cleared up a little more
Yep,
defined.
that,
I
that
think.
definition for retail operation should definitely
So
be,
that's really the stickling point right
yeah,
there.
in
What does
excess
that mean?
of what is considered acceptable in the home occupation ordinance. Some sort of language that just differentiates the two.
That's, something else I have was number 46. So I guess my question would be, if the board not see an issue, allowing or saying this is all right, because I think I suggest them going to the select board, because those are the enforcers. And then they have final say of, we'll make sure we're uniform and saying yay or nay.
You wanna like send them with our blessing, is that what you?
Yeah, I mean, that we feel that it matches what the home occupation, it fits in there.
So this is like a special exception for the zoning board, and they hear from us that we're saying okay, and then,
It's not really a special exception, it's just kind of saying,
The ordinance is open for interpretation, so it would be our interpretation that as long as they keep it under the 500 square feet and less than 10 cars a day and operate between 7, we have all the rules in there that
we feel
we
they're,
feel that it's
acceptable
it
use.
follows the spirit of in here, and there's some contradictions, but the select board can decide
oh, okay.
further whether they would see an issue with it, I guess.
So each time someone comes and wants to open a retail store in their
So
house,
I
if
just-
it happens, they have to come before the board and ask?
No.
We,
No.
the only
This
reason,
sets
the only
precedence.
reason we're here is because it was, doesn't sound correct. We
Right.
only came here for clarification, everybody here's interpretation of this. If I wanted, you know, if it didn't seem muddy, or if I just wanted to say, I'm gonna take my chances, I could have just opened this business and there's, well, that's the way it's written.
Wait, so you're saying you're
It's no
only here
different
as a
than you
courtesy?
actually having what you do up there. It's no different. Like, you didn't have to ask for special permission or anything. You just, you know, you're able to do it. There's nothing nobody can do about it because it's an allowed
Yeah,
use.
I think the problem they're seeing is there's a conflict of definitions, and
Right.
one definition clearly states one thing, and then the other definition that it refers to states something completely different.
Rather than a letter, would it be better to just do a motion with our interpretation in the motion and just have it in the minutes, or?
I think that's a good idea. I think though before that, I think we should go through the criteria, if this hasn't been done already, to confirm it is meeting all of the criteria.
Yeah.
Like, could we do
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
now? real quick?
absolutely.
So, like I know, I'm at one part of it where it says it wouldn't be open earlier than 7 in the morning or later than 7 at night.
Right.
I assume that's,
Yeah, my hours are 10 to 4.
and
Almost like the same.
is there gonna be construction of new buildings, building addition, parking area?
Plenty of parking.
Okay, that would trigger site plan review. And then the rest, no stock or trade shall be maintained unless kept within the building.
Right.
Number of employees shall not exceed 2 persons,
It's just me.
in addition to resident family members. So you
Just
can
me.
hire.
I can hire my daughter.
She's family.
The
Yeah.
activity shall be carried
Yeah,
on
that's true.
wholly within the principal or accessory structure,
Mhm.
like shall be considered evidence of traffic that is detrimental. Okay,
Oh, wow.
there's a few more, wow, there's a lot. The activity shall not occupy more than 500 square feet, that was mentioned.
Right.
There shall be no exterior display, no exterior sign greater than 6 square feet, nor exterior storage of materials, and no exterior indication that home occupation activity is being carried on within either the principal or accessory building. I guess it's kind of like sign only.
Right.
Limited to 1 sign only. 8 is vehicles operated from the premises shall not exceed 12,000 pounds. I don't think that's applicable to this retail part,
Not at all.
even though there's bigger vehicles there. Indicate bed and breakfast, not applicable. 10 is not applicable. Yeah, that's all of them. And 11 we talked about. Okay, so it seems like the proposed meets the criteria in the zoning ordinance.
For the sake of learning, like, I don't understand why this isn't a zoning question. Why does it come to this board?
We brought it to this board because we didn't, because we felt we were confused because it kind of like contradicted itself, and so.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And
Okay.
the
Right.
planning board writes the zoning ordinances.
So it's an allowed use.
Right.
It's an
The
allowed
planning
use.
board writes the zoning ordinance and the zoning board
They're
enforces
an
them?
appeals
Yes.
board.
But,
Okay.
No,
No.
no.
Who enforces them, selectmen?
yeah.
Okay,
No.
sorry.
We write them,
There's a problem.
selectmen enforce them. If there's an
Appeal.
issue or appeal,
Goes to the zoning
or
board.
maybe a variance, that would go to the zoning board of
I
adjustment.
want to do
So
that.
if you said no, then they
Right,
would go to the
yeah,
zoning
I know.
board to
No, we
appeal.
don't, we don't, no.
They
We-
could, okay.
Right,
No, no.
I was thinking that too.
We didn't
Well,
have to come here for,
right,
we didn't
right,
have
right.
to come here for permission to do this.
Right,
We came here for,
application.
because it's an allowed use.
we came
We
here,
came for interpretation,
Clarification.
clarification, and
yeah.
I'm
that's
just
all.
trying to learn.
No, I understand, I just, but well, they
Right,
said
okay.
yes, and I was gonna clarify that that's not the case. If we were doing a site plan per se, and then it was denied,
Right.
then we would go to the ZBA.
Got it, okay.
Or if the selectman said no on something, then we go to the ZBA
Got it.
Right, and get a variance.
and get an administrative decision.
Right.
Yeah, or if you were looking to do 1,000 square feet in the residential
Right,
district,
then
which
we-
only allows 500,
We
you would
could
have
go
to go
to
to the
the
ZBA to get a
ZBA.
variance
Yeah.
from the zoning.
If we're going
to allow-
outside the ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little muddy. I just thought that was,
Yeah.
I reread it 500 times.
I read it too, and I kinda came to the same conclusion.
I think
Didn't make much
the
sense.
majority of us read it and just like, this is a little odd.
So we wanted to do it as a motion, you thought, Henry?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to document this. I mean,
I move that the interpretation of Lisa Baxter's clothing business is interpreted as meeting the home occupation provisions of the zoning ordinance. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Oh, sure,
As presented.
as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstains? Nays? So I suggest hitting the select board next.
Appreciate it.
Good.
And looks like you gave us some more homework too.
Sorry.
Right.
I've been pretty good at that lately.
So question on that, I was looking at this too. So, back to number 7 of that ordinance. Says you can have a sign up to 6 square feet, but then it says no exterior indication. What this time, would a sign be considered exterior indication?
I don't know, or maybe a flashing open sign in a window or something like, I don't know, like maybe they had something specific in mind when they had been written that. But I
Yeah.
agree that also.
Did anyone else?
Yeah.
Just thought that was odd, like, what does that mean?
I read that too, but I was just
I
gonna.
think that does work though, because
I just
businesses
waited.
can have the open sign, it doesn't count towards their square
Signage,
footage.
yeah. So they're only allowed the 6 square foot sign, nothing
Yeah.
else, no open, no, not.
I know, it's just
I think
like
so.
an example, but you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That just seemed odd. It seemed
Right.
like it contradicted itself again there. Keep it at 6 square feet.
Yeah, that might have to be redone, yeah. I'm not quite confident what that sign is now.
The one up front?
Mm.
Yeah, we'll get it. It's more than.
Close.
A lot of size.
I think so.
Are we talking about allowable?
I'm assuming.
Okay, we're down for a minute. Alright, so Courtney Davis. We have public comment for anything else before we go to draft minutes? Did you have anything? Did you guys have anything? We'll cover that. I'll check. All right, draft meeting minutes of November 20th, 2024. Unidentified last name. I like that.
I think it's Spano, wasn't it? Keith
Yeah,
Spano.
Oh, I can correct that. You know the name? Spano?
Keith Spano.
The other thing, I transposed the numbers. It should be RSA 674 rather than 47.
So 674. Is that the only spot you did that?
Throughout. Change it throughout.
Make sure. Everywhere. You did right number 29, right? Oh. Number 49. Number 70. 674. Okay, I read it a couple times.
Oh, that's good. I'm inconsistent.
So going over the minutes from the previous meeting is called new business?
Yes.
It would be in the new business, right? Yeah. And anything that we haven't discussed prior to this meeting would be considered new business.
What are we, I'm confused what this part is.
We're just reviewing the minutes for accuracy or omissions or any
Oh,
issues
okay.
before they're approved, and then they're like, yeah, a permanent public record of this meeting.
Oh, so this isn't posted publicly yet?
This is the last meeting that we
Right.
held.
If it was,
It's
it
public.
is the draft.
If you ask for
It
it.
has to be posted within 5 days, I think it is.
Right.
But it's just a draft until the board approves.
Oh, okay, okay.
So whatever is out there from any board, from after the meeting, it has to be posted within 5 days, and then it's supposed to say like draft in the back.
Oh, a watermark, right,
Yeah.
okay.
And then after the board approves it, then it's basically that's what happened during the meeting.
Gotcha.
So this is kind of where you can, if you want to get more in depth in the section, you could add more. Want to clean it up a little bit. If we wrote someone's name wrong, or in this case, RSA's are the wrong number, we can correct it here.
Oh, I see, okay. Got it.
Did you hear back from Hopper?
Oh, I did.
If you think something got missed, you can bring it up too. The more accurate the minutes are, the better you have,
Right.
It's great to reference them later,
Yeah.
right?
the reference you have later.
The other issue too is we're referencing something like on social media. You delete it, it get changed, you have no way to reference back to it. And you could reference a comment, but since then you've got 20 more comments.
Okay,
So it's kind of references a changing item. We typically try not to.
so, her name's Caroline or Carol? That will go in the minutes, that even though she's not present, that will be in the minutes.
That's on a Zoom meeting, that's
Yes,
open to the
that's
public as
Zoom.
well.
Oh, I see, I thought we had Zoom running the last meeting. We didn't have Zoom last meeting?
We did, but we only had one participant. I
Ben
think
was
it was
on that Zoom last meeting.
So if he's gonna
Okay, so is he in
participate,
the minutes?
if he's gonna participate, then it shouldn't be in the minutes.
I don't, is it, no?
And I thought there was
It
already-
should be if he's
Yeah,
gonna
Ben, what did you say
participate.
last
If he
time? I
doesn't
forgot.
participate,
I
that's one
just-
thing, but if he's named and
So,
participates, it
It's
should
right,
be in the
because you made a
minutes.
comment that the
He
parkland
said
is
the-
415,
Right,
420
vacation
something.
statistics.
400 and
So that's not
415, which was below the state average. That was the only thing I commented
So
on.
line, 60, where I asked, I didn't know what the park rent was, and then, what was considered affordable. So after that, probably put in there,
Yeah.
comment on.
So for the record, 91A only requires that the minutes capture the votes and the motions and who made those, the attendance of the board, and the times in and out of the meeting or in and out of non-public. That's all that
And what
91A
they
actually
go into
requires.
non-public
Everything
for.
beyond that is
Board's discretion.
yeah, the board's discretion.
And what they
So-
want in the non-public for.
So
Yes, yeah,
any
exactly.
public comments don't need to be in the minutes. Is
They
that
don't
what-
have to be, no.
I've
Okay,
been
so
on
you
some
were just-
boards where the minutes were just like, we discussed the zoning amendments and
That's
approved
it.
our minutes, done. Right,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
and been 2 hours.
We,
long.
we do
Right.
try to make sure ours are kind of,
Okay.
have some substance to them, I guess is the word.
Mhm.
We do reference them back, you know, what did
Occasionally,
we talk about then?
You'll have a moment where you need to reference them and you'll be like, oh, yeah,
Okay.
so.
Detail is very beneficial, but you're not required by law, so that way you don't feel hamstrung into creating a transcription of the night, which can be
Oh, that's
a huge problem for, everybody on any of these boards.
That's
So,
why the benefit of some of the YouTube stuff works, because we can reference that.
And sometimes too with minutes, if let's say we have like a packet or something, we can attach it to the minutes, so we don't have to go over what was in the packet in here. We
Mm-hmm.
can just reference that it's attached.
Okay.
Oh, one question I have is, in there, we reference that we're gonna have the slides. Have we received the slides from Sarah yet?
Yes, yes, we did.
Oh,
I thought I
okay.
sent them to you guys, but I can also.
And could you post them on the planning board page?
On the website?
Yeah.
Okay, I could probably do that.
Yeah, thank you.
The slides from the presentation that Mrs. Marchman did.
Just so we're clear, did we choose to add the Zoom comment to the minutes? In what
We can
line?
put that in
I
a
think that would
motion.
be pertinent because that would rectify, because it said right in here, I had, for example, $1,200 park rent per month, because I didn't know what it was. Just put a little verbiage in there somewhere saying that, Ben Drug did comment on Zoom.
Then drug via Zoom confirmed with the local property ones.
Print that printed.
I thought the meeting was broadcast on YouTube. We can,
It's both.
oh, so I could,
So it's on Zoom, and then I share it to 3 Facebook.
oh, okay,
So we try to make sure we have multiple coverage, because
So
sometimes
people can
this
still-
doesn't work.
right.
And some people are banned from some accounts.
Right, the
something
issue
like
we
that,
had
so I tried to get it
originally
out there.
was people were
Oh.
blocked and they weren't able to see it.
Okay.
Oh.
I've seen people comment about that in the Facebook group that they, for some reason, they're blocked to go to YouTube.
The
So
problem
they
with
have
YouTube
other
that
choices.
I found was that as soon as the meeting ends and that stops, there's a huge delay between when it is actually posted. And
Oh,
I think that's because YouTube has a review process.
Because it has to be uploaded. So
Right.
It takes a
it
a little-
go from a live stream to
And it
a
shows
on-demand
up
canned
as
stream,
not
yeah.
accessible, it makes you feel like you got blocked from it,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
just not
That makes
ready
sense.
for viewing.
And we have Zoom too, because let's say a company comes in for a site plan or something. Sometimes they may not be here physically, they call in through Zoom, because their work has a Zoom program, they can share documents through it. Henry sometimes can share documents from that computer to a member of the board who's maybe not here, but is calling in from Zoom. You can sometimes do that. So we try to make sure we have the Zoom feature, because it helps people that come in. It's another avenue. We also have the live feature. So we try to cover all our bases. Try to give you the YouTube, the Zoom. We try to make the minutes, compact.
No, it's good, it makes
Compact
sense.
but informative. The issue is, where do you draw the line? You could have 16 pages or half a page. Legal requirement, you prefer to make it a half page.
I'm not sure that some of the public understands that, like, in sessions page is actually just a person's private page. It's not any sort of official page from the state or anything like that.
Anything else on the minutes?
No.
As amended with spelling, addition of, clerical, and addition of comments from Ben in the 60 to 64 range.
I don't think we got any other comments off of Facebook, I don't remember.
I don't remember anything at the meeting. Like it's hard to do I'm fine with the Zoom. Facebook is hard because let's say one person comments, you go back to check it in a week, you now have 60 comments possibly. So like, you have a change in thing there.
The Zoom link is officially posted on our page, you can access it at any
Yeah.
time.
I mean, unless someone asked something from Facebook we brought up and created a discussion, I don't think I'd put every comment from Facebook on. Unless it prompted discussion during the meeting. Like, let's say Ben's comment came via Facebook.
Well, it would have been read into the meeting.
Yeah, it would have been right in the meeting, yeah.
So I move to amend and accept the minutes with the addition of Keith Spano's last name, fixing RSA so that all instances are RSA 674, adding Ben's comment about the park rent. Is there anything else?
I didn't see anything else.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you. Did you kind of get that process?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Did we have any correspondence?
No. Oh yeah, wait. Hold on. There was a letter from Southwest Regional Planning Commission, I believe they emailed you as well, inviting you to, I can't remember and I don't know where I put it, I thought I put it with,
The roundtable discussion?
yeah, tomorrow, right?
It's in, yes, tomorrow in Temple.
Yep.
I don't have it in front of me, but the planning commission has been hosting meetings and inviting, planning board members and staff from like multiple towns to just talk about issues that are concerned to them and network. The first one was in Marlow, last month maybe. The second one is in Temple tomorrow night. Here, I'll get the, I won't.
Let's see, email.
Get the time in a second here. It's gonna be at the town hall and, yeah, the title is Citizen Planners Peer-to-Peer Roundtable. And it starts at 5:30. The address is 19 Main Street in Temple. I'm not sure if there's gonna be another one close to us, sorry. But,
That's all.
What time did you say it was, Henry?
5:30.
Where's Temple?
East, kind of,
Like in minutes, like an hour?
45?
45-ish.
Maybe a little less.
Really depends on which one you go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and where in Temple.
yeah, we're in Temple, David Park.
I'll ask the planner who's helping to organize them if there's gonna be a closer one tomorrow morning and send a note out.
Anything else corresponding? Did have, ironically, discussion on Facebook. Someone messaged, the planning board would want to increase the lot size in the rural district up to 10 acres. There's a specific,
I'm not sure what it's in reference to.
yeah, I'm not sure what it's referenced to. Is it like,
Kyle, if there isn't other correspondence, I just wanted to suggest we add an old business item to continue reviewing other zoning amendments.
Mhm.
There's a handout that's in our packet that I'm sure Carol would want to walk through with us.
Yep.
Yeah, she had sent an email just now as well, and I think it's that last piece, just saying.
This one?
Minimum building lot size, excuse me, minimum building lot size would be 10 acres.
Right now it's 2, right?
You're talking about potential zoning amendments for planning board review 12.5.4.
Correct.
Yes. When we're done with
And what district was that?
Rural.
these, we have to. Once the plan
Really?
is set up and done.
It's excessive.
Oh,
Two to 10.
It's aggressive.
Decide whether or not they should be.
How many
You'd-
ten
you'd-
do you have?
It's aggressive.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, someone recommended, I don't know who, but, I mean, you would be rendering
this is
some
like you're
people's
voting on
properties
whether to add this to the
worthless.
ordinances?
Well, voting whether or not people should be able to vote. And voting or not.
You should put it on the, right, and that's what though, what are you, the verbiage in something, or adding a new law, or an amendment?
These are, I would call it.
Residential. She's just outside the building.
They're kind of.
Is that like what when we voted, on November 5th, there was something about retirement age for police officers or something?
No, it's like these, like.
The changes that
These
you
are
made to that one,
changes.
okay.
We're
So we
saying,
want-
yes, let's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
sorry,
He's explaining,
Yeah.
he's teaching.
Teaching's always good. So do you want to start with the, not there's any amendment number on it, but amend Article 12F, solar energy systems as follows?
Yeah,
You want me to just read it off and go from there?
yeah, I think so.
Alright. Number 1, add the word authorization following F, solar energy systems. Number 2, amend 4B. General standards as follows. Every facility shall have only one entry point from approved class 5 or better right of way, comma, the new addition is unless prior approval for access has been granted by the select board. On number 3, amend F6 under waivers as follows. 6 waivers. Any portion of these regulations may be waived or modified when in the opinion of the board, strict conformity, and we are crossing out, would pose an unnecessary hardship to applicant in such waiver, would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of these regulations. And then we're added, when deciding on a waiver, the board shall take into consideration whether such waivers will substantially secure the objective standard and requirements of these regulations. Should we say regulations or ordinance? Or is it really tomato?
I think it's tomato, tomato.
Purpose of this amendment is to improve the process for reviewing solar system applications and provide the planning board and applicant with clearer standards. Any questions?
So I'm in agreement with 2B, the change that was made to 2B.
Anything on 1 and 3 or?
Yeah, I'm good with 1 as well. 3, I've got a concern that it's too broad. I think it'd be hard to deliberate on that, and it may be hard if there's ever an appeal because of how broad it is.
How do you feel it's broad, I guess, given your definition, so
Well, that the board shall take into consideration whether such waivers will substantially secure the objective standards and requirements of these regulations. That's taking everything into account. So I think it brings a lot of subjectivity into that as to whether it's meeting the regulations or not. It makes the deliberation and decision-making difficult. I think it should be a bit more specific as to what the criteria would be.
do you have a suggestion?
I do. And I brought it to Carol earlier, and I'll pass it out, and I'm not sure that that it's gonna fit, but it's worth talking about. I did look into how other towns have done conditional uses, and my thinking about it when having it conditional use for the rural district was that it would be, the conditional use permit would allow us to both, well, I guess rather than make it allowable directly, we put it as conditional use in the rural district, because in some circumstances in the rural district, it would fit. In other circumstances, it wouldn't. So we want that balanced approach where we could make a decision on when it fits and allow it, and make a decision on when it does not fit and allow it. And the second part of conditional use is to allow waivers or departures from standards. And we have that waiver provision. But I think in this case, departure from standards should go both ways. In some cases, we want to depart from the standard so it's less stringent, and there may be other cases where we want to make it more stringent. So I looked at how Rochester did it. I was looking to find how others treated it. And Carol, you can jump in anytime. And I found that Rochester had a balanced approach that did both. Had criteria that allowed approval of it and disapproval, or allowed changing individual criteria to either make it more stringent or less. Like our lot coverage, for example. With Rewild, we allowed more lot coverage, but in some circumstances, we might want to allow less lot coverage. So I will share that. And this may be a more detailed approach than we want to take up at this point. Carol, you had some comments on this? Do you want to jump in at all?
Sure.
Do you have any more of these?
Yeah, Jack and I have had quite a bit of discussion about this issue, and I'm a little bit conflicted still about it. I do feel, on the basis of everything that I've seen and opinions that I've gotten from state planning and attorneys, that there's no question that the planning board has the authority to grant waivers with the conditional use permit. That in fact is the entire premise really of a conditional use permit process. It allows the planning board to do that and eliminates the need for an applicant to go to the zoning board if there is something that needs modification. How deeply into the waiver criteria you would want to get, I mean, that's entirely up to you. But, you know, one of the things that I noted is that you have right now 6 uses that use conditional use permit. And we have, out of those 6, there has been 1 application for a cell tower that was denied, and 1 application for the very first one that I have seen for the Water Resources District, and that was part of the solar project, and then this project. So the others, assigned ordinance, never seen an application for that. Conservation subdivisions, never, and campgrounds, that's new, but so far, nothing. So, it's not a question. I mean, obviously it's your choice, you know, how much detail you want to include in the ordinance and how you would do that. You'd have to decide if you're going to have the kind of detail that Rochester uses, for example. Are you going to do it just for the solar, or would you do it for everything? You know, have criteria for every one of those 6 uses, and how that would have to be. I mean, that can be formatted, and that can be taken care of in the zoning board. That's not really a problem. It's just a decision that you all have to make. I still feel strongly that you have the authority that you need to make the waivers, and that you're not required to require the applicant to provide a public benefit. If they can, great, you've got the ability to ask for that. But there are instances in which, as I said in my email to you, Kyle, that there will not always be an opportunity for the applicant to provide a public benefit, and if they can't, but there's no harm done, then, you why would the planning board not grant the waiver? So those are the things that I have been struggling with. And also, just by the way, I had made another tweak to this number 3.6, the waiver paragraph, just to try to clean it up with the intent of these regulations.
Carol, are you
That's
saying
what I
that,
just sent that to Henry.
and that one sentence would replace all of the existing sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
So, my question back to this, what Jack had, Article 21, conditional uses. This is a change of conditional use provisions, which would cover all 6 of the items that require conditional uses.
It would provide base criteria for all 6, and then,
Because you're affecting 6 different things, so then we have to visit 6 different things to make sure we're not screwing up something else, so to speak. You get what I'm saying?
yeah,
I worry we're getting too deep with this one. We might adversely affect something else from one of the other 5 that require conditional use permit.
I think we could deal with that. I mean, what we could reference the others, if you look towards the back, there's the final section. And it references we would just reference the other sections. We could reference the campgrounds and the water resources ordinance and others, so they would supersede. But it would provide base criteria for all the waivers and for the others, and then reference the ordinances for the more detail. The one thing I'd like to achieve, in whether we go with Rochester or not, is I think we do have the waiver provision in there, and I thank you, Carol, for changing it so we can have departure from standards either be more restrictive or less restrictive, which I think is important. What I don't think we have is the ability to, if somebody meets the requirements and we don't think it fits, we don't have the ability to deny it. And I thought we put it in the rural district so that we would be able to make a judgment on it. For example, the Blueberry Farm issue came up with the view, and it's far away and the view probably doesn't make a problem. But what if they put it right in front of the Blueberry Farm? That would probably be not compatible with the neighborhood and the abutters, but I don't see that we'd have any ability to deny, given the way that the ordinance is written right now. I'd like some discretion, depending on where it's located and density, that it fits in with the neighborhood. Because
Wouldn't that fall under, because they have to do a site plan for that, correct? Isn't it
Yeah.
regional impact on the site plan? You consider that regional impact because it's a business in the region that could have an impact?
Yeah, that could be, I suppose it could be considered that. But I think bringing up the site plan, isn't that an opportunity where the planning board could make a judgment that the impact is
And that's what we did.
too much and could be denied?
I just worry
Because
too,
there's 2 steps to it.
if we make this where we could just change it all and then just say no just because, what does that open us up to? Will they say no because they don't like me type thing?
No, that's why we have criteria here, and that's why Rochester has the criteria. No, it can't be, absolutely have to have criteria for judgment. I think right now the ordinance is I think we'd have trouble denying things based on a deliberation on Rewild. Rewild, I think, was a good fit, and I don't have any concerns about our approval to it, but in approving Rewild, I was thinking ahead of, what if it didn't fit? And it is in the rural area, it's not a typical use in the rural area to put these big solar arrays.
So looking at that, is that more an issue of how the ordinance is written where it's allowed versus an issue of the waiver process?
I think we're not utilizing the conditional use part that allows us more discretion in either approving or not, given criteria. It's not.
So I guess the question is our criteria good? Because we keep referencing criteria.
I think if you read the section that Jack has in the base criteria on the second to last page, and start from there, think I have a better idea of what he's kind of talking about.
Yeah, that's, section 275.21.3.
You're saying to put together, the conditional use is a list of things that you would use and refer to when someone comes to you. So you have like a guideline to then make the decisions of whether you're gonna deny it or approve it.
Yeah,
This will
whether-
give you, this is you, everybody defining what those are so that you can make those decisions without just willy-nilly making them.
Right.
I mean, that makes sense, this makes sense to me, having the conditional uses typed up and listed, not typed up, but you know.
Yeah, some of these are kind of deceptive though, like intent of chapter, intent of master plan. Those are just so, those are very open-ended. You know, the purpose and intent of chapters and the entire plan are
let's
very
jump
broad.
to the intent of master plan. We're talking about solar systems. Solar systems, no discussion when the master plan was last
Correct.
updated.
Then it wouldn't be out.
I mean,
Well,
we
the
don't,
album, but also doesn't give us an avenue.
no, I'm not saying we have to use these. I mean, we can modify these,
Yeah.
of course.
Well, I'm just like, let's look at this
Right.
example.
Right.
You got intent of master plan. Our current master plan has nothing on solar. So we,
The intent would be whether we have more control or less control.
Yeah.
Right? And whether there's a lot of leeway, and I think we discussed hardships beginning because is monetary considered a hardship? And it's not, and Rewild was solely around the hardship of cost.
Right.
which is
And
why
we ran into the
we
way-
discussed striking,
Do we have conditional uses?
um,
We do have all that.
that's why we're gonna get rid of posing unnecessary hardship to the applicant, because that opens up that door.
Right.
Okay.
Right, but a waiver, I mean, you're
More-
still
more detail.
technically, we took the hardship word out of it, but.
Criteria for waivers.
You're looking
Jack-
for a criteria to base that off,
Jack, where is the part of this that would give us more ability to deny the conditional?
Yeah, you're in the section base criteria A through G.
Okay, so how this is set up is if the board doesn't like one or more of the base criteria, it could be grounds to deny or disapprove.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I like the criteria they're providing to think about, but when they say things like undue burden, the use does not place. I think that's the key to this. Everything is phrased as
will not
does,
have.
yeah, does not, will not.
Mhm.
And again, I think this is just an example, but I do like the streetscape, the resources, right? Like, it's definitely worth taking into consideration.
I think right now, the way we have it written, it's more or less allowed by right. And we allow waivers in it. But if somebody meets the criteria, we don't have the discretion to disapprove, and that's okay, but that's not my intent of going conditional use. My intent was going conditional use, that it's in the rural district. It's not gonna fit everywhere in the rural district, it's gonna fit some places. And we, through conditional use, have the ability to figure that out. But I don't think that's the way our ordinance is written right now. It's more like it's, if they meet the requirements, it's permitted by right.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Jack.
Alright, I got just a quick question from the public, if that's
Yep.
okay. So you're suggesting that in the rural district that these solar farms would be allowed by conditional use permit only? And that conditional use permit would have the criteria that they would have to meet all of in order to be issued or be allowed in the rural district.
Yes,
Is that
and
what
right
you got?
now in the solar ordinance, we've got a table that they are only allowed in the rural district through conditional use permit,
Okay,
right now.
okay,
However, I think the way the ordinance is written, we don't have the criteria, we have a criteria for waiver for making it more permissive,
Yeah.
but we don't have criteria for whether they're meeting the conditional use.
so it's already by conditional use.
It's by conditional use, but because we don't have the conditions in the ordinance,
Right.
it more or less is
Yeah,
by
what are the
right.
conditions, right, yeah, okay, that makes sense. The way you guys are talking about it, I assumed that it wasn't by conditional use, I